Hello and welcome to another episode of our Fringe Review podcast. This is Wrap Your Lugs Round This. We have a few reviews to throw your way, so listen up and enjoy. We are back with another Fringe review. So yes, some reviews coming your way. We're going to start with an all-female version of Macbeth. Now, many people out there would see this and think twice about saying it. But why? You know, these are different times, man. It's hashtag women of the fringe. So you can't be put off by anything these days, man. You've got to give it a chance. You've got to be open-minded, and that's what I was with this, an all-female version of a Shakespeare classic. Now, this is one of my favourite pieces because I'm a very down and dirty kind of guy, and this is about as down and dirty as I think Shakespeare gets. And I think that's a good way to describe this piece, because that's what it was. It was dark, it was dirty, it was gritty, it was violent, it was brooding, and this cast, all-female cast, just knocked it out of the park. At no point did you think these are women. And no, you just thought these are characters. These are those Shakespeare characters done so well. And, I mean, this is a great piece. I think we see a lot of Macbeth in modern film and television. There's a lot of Game of Thrones in there. You know, you'll recognise a lot of the Macbeth references in there. You know, the Mad King in Game of Thrones and stuff like that. You know, it's there, it's right there, and it's being used this day, and that's what I love. Myself and Stacey went to see this together and thoroughly enjoyed it from start to finish. I mean, it was one of the lengthier shows at the Fringe this year, you know, because there's a lot to cram in Shakespeare. It was edited well, it had what you needed, it didn't have any points where it dragged, anything like that. I think it was streamlined. I think it's one of the slickest versions of Macbeth I've ever seen as well, and I think the direction in this helped keep it slick. You know, it constantly moved. It didn't get stagnant. We had the actors coming in from different places every time, so it wasn't just, oh, here comes another character through that curtain there. You didn't know where they were coming from at any given time, which I think helped that tremendously. So yeah, the direction was absolutely superb. You know, as I said, it was gritty. It was violent, it was powerful, and the fight scenes choreographed well. They were brutal. They made people in the audience wince, and, you know, the right kind of oohs and ahs in the right places. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And this is definitely an ensemble piece. There is no weak links in this ensemble at all. Each one of those cast members give it that all. They played the part superbly. They believed in everything that they were doing, which made us as the audience believe just as much. Great version of Macbeth. You know, it's raw, it's dark, it's dirty, it's brutal. I mean, it's one of the best Macbeths I've seen for sure, without a doubt. So a huge well done to Treading the Boards Theatre Company, therefore, giving us a tremendous version of Macbeth. Now, before we get into our next review, I just want to talk a little bit about the Fringe in general this year. I was a performer there last year with one of my pieces, The Big Time, and after that Fringe there was a lot of press about unfair wages and treatment of Fringe staff. Now, this has caused a big problem, and because of that, venues have suffered this year. One of the big ones was C Venues. They have lost a couple of their venues. So yeah, there's a lot of still bad talk, bad press about how many venues underpaid or didn't pay a lot of their staff from last year's Fringe. Still an air of that this year. It's still just bubbling under, and you can see and you can sense and you can feel it, because a lot of these venues are under pressure to change things. And rightly so, you know. People work the hardest, you know, for a pittance most of the time. I know this Fringe was founded on, you know, a lot of people coming together and wanting to do things as an experience and a learning experience. And that is, that is how it kind of all came together in a way. But I think times have changed now, and people need to pay those bills. You can't expect people to do those kind of hours, working their asses off for nothing at the end of it. You can't just say, hey, well, we'll give you some accommodation. That just won't cut it. So yeah, I think there's a lot of venues have suffered because of this, and I hope it changes, and I hope next year it opens on a brighter note, and we don't have this dark cloud still hanging over it. I hope we can get back to what the Fringe was all about, and have these venues working to the best of their ability and offering the best product they can. Yeah, I really do hope we can kind of get that back. But I think one of the venues that is thriving, even in this under this dark cloud, is the Space. Now, I've reviewed a few of their shows this year at the Fringe. I attended their press launch. I think they're doing really well this year. I think they're just tickling at the back end of all the big hitters, your Gilded Balloon, your Assembly, the Underbelly and stuff like that. I think they're just coming up behind and saying, hi, we're here, we're here and we're coming for you. They have some great venues, they've got some great staff there. It's like a big family. They treat you like family, which is really nice. It's what you need from your venue. You need all that kind of support to make your Fringe experience that much better. It is a big support network, and your venue should be there as your biggest supporter, not necessarily your audience, but yeah, your venue has got to be there behind you. It's got to be your backbone for that month in August, and I think they're doing really well. They're putting out some great product this year, as we saw at their press launch. It seems that they are getting behind their performers, their producers this year, and they're doing really, really well, which is really nice to see. We'll always have those big hitters there, your Assembly Rooms and Pleasance, whatnot. But yeah, it's nice to see these other ones just pushing the bar and just saying, yeah, we're here, and making a big noise about it, which is absolutely fantastic. Tom Stade. Just in case you didn't notice, I'm going to talk about Tom Stade. Yes, one of the festival's most bankable stand-up comedians. When I say bankable, I mean you can always bank on him to put in a good show. And I've said before, it's not an Edinburgh Fringe Festival without Tom Stade. He's always one of the stand-ups that I aim to see no matter what at the Fringe. And every year I'm so glad I do. Honestly, this guy he's rock and roll, he's gutsy, he's ballsy, he's in your face, he's no holds barred. But best of all, he's just a good guy, man. You just can't help falling for his charm. He just, he's the kind of guy he wants to spend time with you, and that's what you feel in the audience, that he just wants to spend some time just shooting the breeze and spitting some shit with you, and that is part of his absolute charm, and you can't help but just be drawn into everything that he's saying. And as I said before, stand-up comedians, one-liners, they don't really do it for me. This is what I like. I love that Tom talks about his kids, he talks about his wife, he talks about driving up and down the country, going to service stations. This is what I love. These stories, these real stories, and told with such beautiful comic timing and character play. It's like you're living it, reliving it with him, and that's one of the best things about Tom Stade. Now he bounces around from venue to venue. Last year he was I don't want to say the back end of nowhere, but he was like the top end of Rose Street, I think it was. And this year he is at the Gilded Balloon, one of their newer venues, where C Venues Main used to be. So yeah, the Gilded Balloon have the pleasure of Tom Stade for the month, and lucky them, because honestly, this guy's doing it. This year's show is top notch. I can't say a bad word against it. Absolutely phenomenal from start to finish. He had the audience in the palm of his hand throughout, and he did not let go. So yeah, another Fringe with Tom Stade, and he does. He just makes my Fringe. I've said it before. Tom is like the epitome of rock and roll comedy. I mean, this guy is to comedy what Keith Richards is to music. An absolute fucking legend, honestly. And, you know, that show last night certainly didn't fail to deliver. I mean, he's got swagger and killer delivery. And you won't want to miss this. So please do get your tickets to Tom Stade. You will not be disappointed. Okay, on to our next review. I'm joined again by the lovely Stacey. Hello, Stacey.
Hello, Wayne.
Okay, so you went off to review this next show on your own because you don't like to claim all the Shakespeare stuff, but you being the bigger lover of Shakespeare, you chose this one, didn't you?
Yes, this one appealed to me. It jumped out at me when I seen a tweet really on Twitter, and I just thought this looks like something that I'm going to love.
Yeah. So is it a Shakespeare play? Is it based upon Shakespeare's life? What is the Shakespeare connection with this?
It is a Shakespeare play. It's A Midsummer Night's Dream, but it's taken from the perspective of Bottom the Weaver. So he is the main focus in the play, and it falls under the whole carnival essence where the lower characters, shall we say, come forth and have their moment in the spotlight. And this performance gave me everything, really. I mean, it was Shakespeare brought to life in animated glory. It just had a lot of heart and passion, and I loved it from start to finish.
So, and this is called A Midsummer Night's
Droll.
Yeah, so it's not a direct Shakespeare piece, but
it had all of the main elements of A Midsummer Night's Dream. So we had Titania, Oberon, we had Puck, we had all of the mechanics, Bottom the Weaver, etc. And it had them putting on the play that they take to the big wedding at the end of A Midsummer Night's Dream, and all of the buffoonery that comes with that setup. And it was hilarious. It was a laugh a minute for me.
You spoke to me after you went to see it, that it gave you a little education into Shakespearean times and what it was like for actors during that period.
Yes, because there was a time when all theatre was completely banned, and it was a case of what do these actors of the time do. And so this contextual information that we were given at the start and the end of the performance was so informative. I mean, they said that the top actors of the time were able to just go abroad and do their craft in France and other countries. The middle calibre of actors who had another profession like carpentry, they went off and fell back on those skills. And these, what they were called drolls, were the bottom of the bottom really of actors, and it was ones who weren't good enough to travel abroad, didn't have another profession to fall back on, so they basically became criminals in their own right, and took on these caricatures of, say, Shakespeare or your Marlowes, and put on entertainment in pubs and sort of back alley kind of establishments. And
a bit like the Fringe.
Yes, the Fringe of the time.
Yeah,
I like it.
So what can people expect from this show then?
So it was raucous and ridiculous in the best way possible. It was witty and whimsical, acted with energy, heart and passion, and I couldn't get enough of it.
Well, hopefully the audiences will agree with you. So this is on at the Gilded Balloon TV Billiard Room.
It is indeed.
Well, thank you very much, Stacey.
Thank you, Wayne.
So there you are, you've wrapped your lugs around some reviews there. Thank you very much, Stacey, again. Now, we're coming to the end of this podcast, and I just want to say we're going to go back to our regular podcasts a little bit longer. Been absolutely lovely reviewing some of these fantastic shows at the Fringe this year. Thank you very much to all those venues, all those companies. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best of luck with the rest of your run. I still will be talking about what's still running at the Fringe and stuff like that, giving some shout outs and recommendations in our next podcast. So yeah, I'll still be bigging up the Fringe, but we'll be moving on to talk about again some theatre news, what's going on in the country, what's going on where I'm from in the northeast and things like that, just shooting the breeze. So thank you very much for listening. This has been another episode of Fringe Review. This has been Wrap Your Lugs Round This. Until next time, farewell from me, Monkey Boy Miller.